I'm aware, Terra Life is going to make soil compaction a major deal, and crop destruction. There's no row crop tyre protection where you can drive over a field full of crop with row crop tyres and you're not going to kill everything. Everything's going to kill something. It's just that row crop tyres will kill less. But it does generally encourage you to plant with tram lines so that you're not wasting seed that's just going to get crushed by some tractor tyres later in the year. And by doing that, if you then drive with row crop tyres, the row crop tyres can stay in the wider tram lines and not kill any crops. There's also, I think, last time I listened to anything Disturbed Studios was saying, or Disturbed Simulations was saying, that he's generally going with regular or wide tyres now and not using row crops at all because there's less soil compaction, and that is apparently quite a serious thing, at least as far as Terra Life is concerned. So I think I'm going to go back to alternate rows again. But I think I'm gonna, once Terra Life is released, I'll probably watch Disturbed Simulations doing a series with it, just to see how it works. Although, as far as I'm aware, it's map embedded. It's probably a mod that you turn on and off, so you can play with it or not with it, and it doesn't matter, but you can only play with it on maps that are set up to use it. I think kind of like the Canadian map that had the ability to chop crops and then go through into a swath and then go through with a harvester with a collection header. That was special, I believe, to that map, and it wasn't. You could then, there was a mod for the equipment that allowed you to do it that way. Now, I have seen a farmer doing swathing crops and then collecting with a harvester in real life on YouTube. Now I did see, I saw that the Froling map was re-released. Unfortunately, I heard it had been re-released from people who weren't so impressed with the changes, and that's to be expected. Some people will look at a map and just it doesn't work for them. I've always liked Old Stream Farm, and I'll make no bones about that. The Old Stream Farm is a really, really, really nice small map that, if I'm playing on if I'm not streaming, it's a map I like to go to because I feel like I'm progressing. I'm getting stuff done. Nothing's expensive. The vehicles are cheap because you're not really working with large equipment, and obviously cheap to repair. The income is really low because tiny fields, low income. But it's a nice cozy little map that you can kick back on and relax. Big American maps I'm not so much into because we've been here for 10 minutes and I'm not even halfway through this field. So it takes longer to get anything done. It feels like it takes longer to get things done. And so, but some people like that. Some people like, oh, I'll load in Courseplay, I'll get 5 big harvesters and set them loose on a field, and then run around with a chaser bin unloading them all, and then dumping the stuff in trucks on the side. And yeah, okay, you like playing that way, so those sorts of maps are going to be your thing. But as I said, different people, different play styles. Farming Simulator is one of those things. If you like the farming aspect, there's not a set way to play it. You can play with seasons, without seasons, big equipment, big fields, small fields. You can play what you want. It's not really a set in stone thing. You play something like Train Sim. You can drive steam trains, you can drive electric trains, you can drive American, you can drive European, you can drive UK. So many different options. And so there's not one way to do it. So if you like driving trains, but you only like driving diesels of the 1970s, you can do that. And the same thing here. If you like small equipment, you can do that here. If you want to go automated, there is, as I said, there's Courseplay. We do have Courseplay loaded. There was a patch for Courseplay. If you play with Courseplay, you're going to have to go to GitHub for the Courseplay team and get the latest patch. Can't remember what changed on it. They fixed a couple of issues, and I've got it loaded. The reason I've got it loaded is so we can have lots of things going on at the same time. I've found workers are a little bit challenged on this map, much like they were on Maypole. The hedges on Maypole were just a big problem. The hedges on this map are not a problem because they're solid. Can't drive through the hedges, which is why I can't do shortcuts through fields anymore. But it does mean that the workers are far happier on these fields with the hedgerows. However, the trees close to the edge, like on this field, that's an issue for the workers. But if I set up with Courseplay, I can set up a worker to do a thing while I do a different thing. So I can set up a worker on the harvester, because if I don't, harvesting is going to take me hours while I cart the stuff to and from the yard. I'm only close enough to the yard, so it's not really a big deal. But there are times where I get very conscious about I need to progress stuff, and I can't because I'm waiting on a thing to happen, or I'm doing one job over and over and over and over. Carting is I'm very conscious of spending too much time carting, because I have to do, for the most part, I have to do that manually. But if I can do something like this, there's nothing else to do. I could set this off on a Courseplay, but really, I'm just going to let me do it. But I can understand the doing everything manually, and I probably if it came to when it comes to playing a session on the old stream farm, I will not use automation. I won't have Courseplay loaded. I won't have auto drive loaded. I'll do all of it myself, and I always have. back to Farming Simulator 17 when I played on the old stream farm. I did everything by hand. I drove all the harvesters, I unloaded the harvesters with the tractor parked at the edge of the field, and I just did all the things myself, because what's the point? It's going to take me 10 minutes. It's probably going to take the worker 20 minutes. In this situation, it's going to take me 30 minutes to do it. It's going to take the worker 35 minutes to do it. So if I have something else to do, I could do the something else and let the worker get on with it. Although that usually works out normally as I'll have a worker planting a field where I'm running around with a manure wagon spreading nitrogen on the field in preparation for the next field the worker's going to do. So I tend to do a lot of fertilization jobs because they take so little time. With manure and slurry, you are traveling a lot. You have to keep refilling the equipment. So there's it's almost it's kind of like carting. You're still moving a load of stuff to and from the field, and then you're on the field for like 5 minutes. With a fertilizer spreader or a sprayer, you're traveling between multiple fields and you're getting the job done really quickly, whereas cultivating and seeding on these size of fields takes longer. So I can set a worker off and then I can get 6 fields fertilized in the time it takes the worker to seed one. We used to do the same in, even way back in Lawfolds. I would have a worker cultivating a field, and I would have another worker or me seeding the field. And that's where we got I've got a shot sort of looking at Class Axion from sort of here. And the Class Axion is planting, and in the background you can see the Challenger with the cultivator attached, cultivating said same field. So I did use workers quite a lot there, but the fields are big and it makes sense to use workers on big fields. It doesn't make sense to use them on small fields. So, and preference is small cozy farms most of the time. For a Saturday series, I kind of like farms this sort of big because the income tends to be bigger. So at the end of the year, we're going to have £200,000-300,000 in the bank. We can buy a big thing. Or we can buy a couple of fields, or it's farm expansion is going to happen quickly. But then again, big fields cost more. I don't know, it's a thing. That's all, it's always a question. Obviously, the bigger the fields, the more your income. If you start on an American map and do farm manager, you can probably buy a field, a farmyard, a big harvester, and a tractor with a big grain cart. That one field is probably going to be ready to harvest immediately. You can get out there, you can harvest that field. It's probably going to take you 3 hours playing to completely harvest that field. If you sell the grain from that field, that's enough money to buy an adjacent, slightly smaller field. So you could do that, and then you could buy another adjacent, slightly smaller field. And then maybe, okay, now I've got 3 fields. I've just got a bunch of income from the last of those 3 fields. I can buy a reasonable sized cultivator and seeder or direct drill, and I can now get out there and plant all 3 of those fields. Now I'm going to sit back with no income for a year until the crops in those fields mature. But I've got a big farm all of a sudden. And I started with the big harvester because I kind of wanted things to not take too much time. Let's lift that up, shall we? Here we kind of went the other way. We got the fields, I got the grass handling equipment, so we're really set up for the silage start, which I've never done before. I've always started with a few arable fields. And I'll buy more fields than equipment. And then I'll buy the daily equipment, so I need a tractor, I need a good size tractor, so that I can use good size equipment or small equipment, but have the option of buying larger equipment, make heavy use of store sales, and lease a harvester for the first 3 years. The first year we'll lease a small harvester, and at the end of selling all of that crop, we'll buy more fields. The following year we'll lease a bigger harvester and harvest all the fields in less time per field, but it's still going to take me as much time again because I now have more fields, and I'll buy more fields at the end of the second year. And at the end of the third year we might get lucky and get a store sale for a harvester of a reasonable size that I want to spend the rest of the game with, or I'll lease another harvester, but at the end of the year I now have enough income to buy a brand new harvester for the following year, and so the following year we'll wait off and then we'll buy the big harvester that I want to play with. So I guess I can get stuck in a rut doing it this way, but as I said, I wanted something a little bit different, so we're starting off with silage. We've got no farm silo. We've just got the silage bunkers at the moment. I do want to get cows, but a cow shed is $250,000 on, for the Glenleathann cow shed, which holds 1,000 cows. Again, I could get the cow pasture, which doesn't have a shed, but then I've got to worry about water. And even that's about $500,000. I know where we're putting it, putting it behind the workshop, but it's going to be a while before we're making $250,000 in one sitting. We'll probably need another silage bunker before we get to that point. And of course the other issue with that is I'm going to have to sell the silage to buy the cow shed, and if I sell the silage to buy the cow shed, I don't have any food to feed the cows for the coming year. So, sort of a bad thing. Well, maybe a bad thing. Or we can just go to the store and buy bales of stuff. But we're also not doing a bale playthrough here. I'm avoiding getting a baler. I might get a baler and a bale collector just so that we can do the contracts that you wrap stuff, silage contracts. But I can do hay contracts with all the equipment we have. I can make silage on our farm with all the equipment we have. And other stuff. I need to get some sheds to put things in. But that's not at the top of my list. I've got the seed tank undercover, I've got the collection wagon and the grain trailer, they're undercover most of the time. Actually, I think the grain trailer's currently sat in a silage pit with the cover on. But, yeah, we've got the expensive stuff undercover, or the stuff that you don't want to get wet. But if I were to get a baler or anything like that, I would need a shed to put that in. I just don't have any railroad ties to put the equipment on when it's parked outside. Which is what a lot of farmers seem to do. Especially for equipment you have to lay flat, like this thing. You can't detach it folded, so you would usually lower it onto some railroad ties so that it's off the ground. And then by the time you come back next year, it's all going to be overgrown in weeds, in spite of what you do. Okay, this would appear to be the last row. Game time is mid-morning. Time for 11s is. So it's April, we are going to need the cultivator in May. Oh, we're going to need to plough. No, we're not. Oh. I was thinking, I'm going to want to plant corn, I'm going to need to plough. No, I'm going to cultivate the grass field and then plant corn on top of it. So, there is nothing. I'm going to need this again. Ripping up grass does not entail you need to plough it. Ripping up corn does. So we now have a plough, so that's a good thing. Although I did notice there is a plough on the store sales again. I think it's the Amazon version of the Lemkin that we have. Yes, we can turn the lines off. So, we did that field under contract at one point. I think I've done all of the adjacent fields to the farm under contracts at times. I think right now, how are we doing for diesel? We're fine. Maintenance, we're down to 79%, but that's fine. We've still got another 10 leeway. I'll probably end up. Well, there's space behind the house, but I might buy these two fields at some point, maybe chop the hedge back and put a silo system in here. And then I've got the silo, the solid fertilizer lime storage. So that can be my my yard for that sort of thing back there. Give this a quick clean. Rollers are getting a little bit scratched, and we'll clean off the tractor as well. I guess I can turn the Christmas tree off. I turned the lights on so I had a little bit more contrast under the shade of the trees, because they're still, the sun's way over there. shielded. Very carefully park it here. So now he's getting a little bit bouncy. Oops, so let's drive closer to him. There, plough's not so bouncy. Let's drop that there. So yeah, that's a grass field. I could pull up that grass field or parts of that grass field for storage. Make it smaller because we have the big field over there. We have the big field that we're planting maize in up there and another one over there. So I don't really need to worry too much about that field. Anyway, let's park this in the shed. Jump out. I will check the contracts, just see if anyone's posted anything. I doubt it. We're a couple of hours away from the weather. Oh, more fertilising and a weeding contract. I don't have a weeder. Couple of fertilisation. That's a good paying contract. Another 10,000. I will skip those. They may be available tomorrow. What else should we check? We should check the store sales. Whatever was at the front here is gone. So there may be new stuff at the back. Oh, there's a T7000. That's interesting. And another one of those. So the T7000, I haven't investigated this one. Good horsepower. 215 to 292. 255. That's not bad. 114,000. Pricey. Continentals. Trelleborgs. Michelin. So it came with Continental standard. Twins. Rear twins. Narrow. Ooh. It has potato wheels apparently. Narrows. Oh, there you go. I'm not sure about that. Exhaust and front grille standard chrome. Direct exhaust, chrome exhaust, standard, okay. Radio and alert stickers. Ooh, it has. Oh, is that a thing inside? Yeah, it's got a little radio up there. That's cool. And then the alert stickers, nope. Oh, look, all of these things. Stuff on the bar there. That's kind of cool. Rear weights. Oh, my goodness. That explains the extended thing. There's so much available on this. Where did I get up to? Fenders, standard. All right, small fender and front, extended small. Okay, window film. Ooh. Smoked one would be fine. Reverse gear beep. Oh no. US EU signs. Reflective triangle.